Check out the feedback from other people who are already taking these products, these ingredients. Again, it's another example of a notice the difference. I always like to take it before I come into work. You know, I kind of have we all have our different little regimens for taking our vitamins. I take some in the morning. Most of my vitamins I try to take early in the day to kind of enjoy the benefits throughout the day.
Morning and lunch, but as I've talked about before with our cranberry product, I'll generally take cranberry toward the end of the day. We've talked about this. Also Friendly Flora, because cranberry, as long as...
I started doing that.
Because we tend to have fluid in the morning, we'll tend to void our bladder. So I'd rather, as long as I'm having things in my bladder and my urinary tract and things overnight, I'd rather have it concentrated with the beneficial compounds present in cranberry or Friendly Flora. So those are things that I'll tend to take at night. But like you, I tend to take my products either at breakfast or lunch throughout the day. And what's great about the Memory and Brain, and it's good to talk about now, is, again, it's another product. It's a challenging time of year, challenging for our mental faculties. And it's a product that, again, you'll have 100 days to experience this product. So you could take, typically I would recommend taking 2 capsules daily. Some people take 1 capsule per day, but it's a product that you'll be able to enjoy all the way through the end of January. That's where the money-back guarantee goes until.
There we go. All right. Hey, speaking of that, the next one is the Today Special.
How did we get to midnight already?
Can you believe that? It's already almost midnight on the East Coast, and you know every night at midnight, East Coast time, we launch a brand new Today Special. So this is one we've waited a whole year for. It's been a couple years since you've actually bundled the vitamin D3 with calcium, magnesium intensive care.
Again, because I don't do that many Today Specials every year, there's a lot of Today Specials. We've done far less Today Specials than we've had requests to do Today Specials. So what we've done is we're doing an amazing best ever Today Special on vitamin D. Your choice if you choose to. We're adding to that a best ever edition of calcium, magnesium intensive care with the 2 large size bundles. So that's your choice. In either case, you're literally talking about pennies a capsule. And just when I offer a product that's this affordable per capsule, I'm often asked if we took shortcuts, if we're using cheaper capsules or whatever we're doing, because capsules are generally very expensive. No shortcuts are taken. You're getting all the exceptional quality. Plus we took our 1,000 and 2,000 IU for the Today Special, up them to 1,250 and 2,500 IU. Either one, same price. In fact, the price for the 2,500 was originally the price for the 1,000.
Exactly.
So it's a great savings whichever you go, and Colleen will go over all the options.
We're going to dive in. We're going to show you what the choices are right now. Get ready. It's our biggest, best value to date on Andrew's vitamin D3, the single most important vitamin to supplement. So let me show you what the choices are. And most of us are going to be ordering bundles, but I'll show you what the choices are, because you can order just the single of the vitamin D3. One thing to note, you're deciding how much IU you want per capsule. The price is the same, whether you choose the 1,250 IU, up here you'll see the 1,250 IU or the 2,500 IU. So you decide how much you want per capsule. That's the only choice. That's the first choice you're making. Most of us are going to choose the one where you get double, where you're going to get the 2,500 IU per capsule, all right? So 1,250, 2,500, you decide the potency of the capsule. Then you decide the size. We have a 150, a 300, a 600, or a 1,200, all right? That's choice number 1. 150, 300, 600, 1,200. You decide the IU, 1,250, right, or 2,500, and then you're deciding the size. Now, here's where it gets interesting. We have bundles available for you, and this is exciting. You're going to get 600 capsules of the vitamin D3, and then along with that, we're going to be sending you 500 capsules of calcium, magnesium intensive care. Right? That's the first bundle. Then the jumbo bundle, which is what everybody's going to get excited about here, is where you are going to be receiving 1,200 capsules of the vitamin D3. Again, you're deciding the IU potency, the 1,250 or the 2,500, and then you're going to get this basically at no charge. 1,000 capsules of the calcium magnesium. Look at this bundle.
And just what I hope everyone, you know, if you do the math on the 1,200 capsules of vitamin D, and remember, that could be 1,200 capsules of 2,500 IU vitamin D3. And then it's another 1,000 capsules of the calcium magnesium intensive care. So when you look at those two products together, that's 2,200 capsules. So you're talking about a little bit more than a nickel a capsule So you're literally getting the vitamin D you need for a little bit more than a nickel a capsule. Plus, you're also getting in for that 1200 IU. If you're taking 2500 IU daily, if that's all you're taking, say you're taking a multivitamin, you're getting, say my Essential One, you're already getting 1500. You want to be around 4,000 or 5,000. So you're taking the 2500 on top of that. That means that 1200 capsule supply can actually last you. So you get a sense of the value here, not 1 year. Not 2 years, but over 3 years. You could share that with someone, and it lasts almost 2 years for 2 people. So I just hope you get a sense. When I talk about the importance of vitamin D, you can't avoid the fact that it's also so remarkably affordable. And the one thing you're going to notice when I go through the research and the science on this and talk about quotes from the studies, you don't want to go through your lifetime without having healthy vitamin D levels. You just don't want to do that. And correcting it is so affordable. And if you look at the research and the clinical studies out there, if you're not supplementing vitamin D, if you're not taking a multivitamin that has over 1,000 IU of vitamin D, your vitamin D levels are likely going to be frighteningly low. I say that with confidence based on the science, but also based upon emails and letters and calls we've gotten from folks who went and had their vitamin D levels tested, and everyone should know their vitamin D level. Very important to know. I like to have vitamin D levels between 60 and 80 nanograms per milliliter, so it's something that, again, you'll talk to your doctor, see what your vitamin D levels are, and that's absolutely critical to know.
Let me show you one more time what the value looks like here, because it's outstanding. First of all, remember, 150, 300, 600, or 1200. Those are the singles.
And it's essentially, it's a vitamin D Today special.
Yes.
Best pricing ever, vitamin D Today special.
Absolutely. I mean, look at, for example, just 1,200 capsules would normally be $199.90. You're getting it today for $89.90 for 1,200 capsules.
And it would have been $199.90 for 1,000 IU. So you're getting 2,500 IU, 2.5 times more for the exact same price. Amazing. So we're not even emphasizing the additional savings there.
Exactly. So then we have the bundles, and this is where it gets really interesting and amazing. First of all, down here, this is the 600 capsules of the vitamin D3. We're also going to be including 500 capsules of the calcium magnesium intensive care, which is a $189.90 value. Today you're getting both of those products for $99.90, $90 savings. This is so incredible what's happening down here. First of all, you get 1,200 capsules of the vitamin D3. Then you're getting 1,000 capsules, this basically for free. 1,000 capsules of the calcium magnesium intensive care. It would be $339.90. Look at the price today. $149.90. This is unbelievable. A $190 savings. For an example, if I take you up here, 1,200 capsules alone of just the vitamin D3 would be $200 HSN price, just for the vitamin D3. For $50 less.
Which would be a great Today special.
Would be a great Today special. For $50 less, you are getting all 1,200 of those capsules, and you get an additional, right?
1,000.
So I mean, this is just unbelievable.
I hope it also underscores that at the 1,200 capsules of vitamin D3 at $89.90, so $149 is where you get 1,000 more capsules of the calcium magnesium intensive care. So for only $60 more, you're getting 1,000 capsules of calcium magnesium intensive care. So for less than 6 cents a capsule, for our calcium, super soluble calcium and magnesium forms. So I hope everyone realizes that this is something that, in terms of calcium magnesium intensive care, if you need to supplement calcium, you're not going to find a more mild, easy to swallow. It's a product. These two products together, I think about 95% of their reviews are positive reviews. I think the 4 and 5 stars represent 94, 95% of the reviews. These are are products that are almost, again, unanimously, perfectly reviewed. And we're talking about, combined, we're talking about well over 1,000 reviews here.
Yep. Your vitamin D3 averages 4.8 out of perfect 5-star ratings. And then the calcium, magnesium, intensive care, same thing, 4.7 out of a perfect 5-star rating. One more thing I forgot to tell you, and that's you're going to be getting a cookbook if you're ordering anything 600 caps and above. So if you're ordering the 600 single, the 1200 single, or either of the bundles, you are also going to be receiving Andrew and Mariel's holiday cookbook.
We did that last weekend as well with the CoQ10 Today Special. If you got both Today Specials, then you
These
get
make
to
great gifts.
Yes, you could. It's a great gift on the holidays because it's all about, and it is a holiday cookbook. It's about taking all the holiday dishes and making them not just healthier, but making them even more delicious too. So you'll love the cookbooks. The reason why we do the cookbook is as I stand up here and I'm offering you the most important of, say, the dozen-plus vitamins we all think about. Vitamin D is without question now the most important of all, more important than vitamin C or vitamin E or vitamin B12. As important as they are, even more important. But what's wonderful about vitamin D, or what's unfortunate about vitamin D, we can't get it from our diet. But even more important than vitamin D, as important as it is eating a healthy diet. That's where it all starts, and unfortunately in this country, it's kind of where we all sort of get a little bit lost. There's so many influences in our society that prevents us from eating ideally, so we really need to focus our energy, and the cookbook will help. And when it comes to vitamin D, I wish there were good sources of vitamin D in our diet, but there aren't. There are no sources I could recommend for you to be getting adequate vitamin D. And I'll read the research, the science, the clinical discussions we'll talk about. It's such an easy product to supplement effectively. And the one thing you'll see in the reviews is many people are getting their vitamin D levels tested. And the vitamin D they were taking just wasn't changing their blood levels until they tried mine. And when you look at mine, first of all, if you struggle swallowing tablets and pills, you will not. I mean, this capsule is so small, it's almost lost in my fingers there. Yep. Tiny, tiny capsule, and in it is just an ultra, ultra, ultra fine powder.
Look at that.
So that's all. You're not going to get an upset stomach with this ever.
Exactly right. I want to show you one more time. Patrick, our producer, just informed me that the big bundle, which we anticipated, is the #1 choice here. It is exciting. This is the biggest value ever on Andrew's vitamin D3. I'll show you. I'll just break down the big one for you so you can see the vitamin D3 alone. Just that product by itself, 1,200 capsules, is $208.13. We don't normally carry this size. We don't normally offer it. If you were to buy that 1,200 here at HSN, it would break down to over $200. Remember, you're getting it for under $150, but you're also going to be receiving 1,000. This is free, basically. You're not paying a penny for this. 1,000 capsules of the calcium, magnesium, intensive care, an incredible product. A lot of us take that religiously every single solitary day. $134 worth of calcium, magnesium, intensive care is also included. And then, of course, you're getting the cookbook. And then remember, you save on the shipping and handling because you're getting free shipping. You're not paying separate shipping and handling here. You get free shipping and handling.
And, and that's heavy. So we're talking about those two products weigh a few pounds. So it's free shipping and handling. And when it comes to vitamin D, we all know our cholesterol levels. Most of us probably know our high density and our low density lipoproteins. We know things like our triglyceride levels. We know our blood sugar level, we know our blood pressure level. And most of us would probably be taken aback if I said that even more important to me than knowing my cholesterol level, I'd want to know my vitamin D level. That's not even a close call. It's not as though you should know one and not know the other, but I think most of us move through life and we don't know our vitamin D levels. Most doctors are becoming more enlightened. I've been talking about this for more than 20 years. It's finally catching on. But now, and I hate to say it, one of the major reasons why vitamin D testing isn't really catching on, there's not a really expensive drug you can sell for vitamin D levels. What are you talking about here today? If you bought for $89 that bottle of vitamin D and took 2,500 IU a day with, say, your daily multivitamin, that's going to last you over 3 years for $89. So it's going to be basically about $20 or so a year. Vitamin D is, even the best vitamin D in the world is not to be disparaging to it. It's cheap. It's unbelievably affordable. As it is, it's even more important And I'm going to read some charts here, and I need to emphasize that you should know, you must know your vitamin D levels. Also, by the way, if you're not supplementing vitamin D at levels in excess of 1,000 or 2,000 IU daily, I would imagine that you are deficient or insufficient. And if you look at the research, it's referred to as an epidemic, a pandemic, that if you look at people who are not supplementing in Western societies, it's as many as 100% of those people are vitamin D deficient or insufficient.
Yeah,
it's
as many as
frightening.
100%. We Americans are vitamin D deficient. And when Andrew shares the info about the importance of having those levels in the proper place, you know, it's funny, a couple years ago, my doctors just started checking my vitamin D level. I didn't even ask her to. She just started doing it, and I'm so glad she did, and I know where I am, but the truth is, if you are not having your vitamin D checked, you should. There's a good chance your doctor already does, and guess what? This is like first line of defense right here. And I have to say, I think it's pretty nice of you, because the way Andrew does this, it's $12.50 or $2,500 IU.
Works for you.
You're not charging us double. The one capsule has double the amount of vitamin D3. You did not double the price on that, which is pretty great.
Whatever works for you, whatever fits into your doctor's recommendation or fits in with your other products to deliver you to the proper number. What I have found for most people who are at their proper body weight, if you're close to your proper body weight, you're not overweight or obese, the proper number is probably going to be between 3,000 and 5,000 IU daily. I take about 4,000 or 5,000 IU daily, and that gets me to right around 70. You said your number was 72. So we're right around similar numbers.
And I take 2 a day.
But if you're overweight, and we'll get into the science here, and I'll quote some of the science here, but what's been noticed over the last several decades, vitamin D levels have been plummeting in this country. Well, what's been going on in this country? We've gone from being not that overweight as a country over the last, say, 3, 4, 5 decades to being over 3/4 of Americans are overweight or obese. So what vitamin D, being a fat-soluble vitamin, it gets trapped in our body fat. It gets taken away, it gets imprisoned, it's not available, it can't help us. So it's no wonder why we've watched vitamin D levels plummet as our body weight has increased in this country. But again, it's just being informed. It's knowing that if you're overweight, you're going to need to take more vitamin D to achieve the appropriate blood level, the appropriate test level. And again, I wish I could say eat this or eat that, but unfortunately, vitamin D is not something, there's no, and I'll read the charts, there's no natural
we have to go
sources.
sit in the sun, right?
Well, and first of all, even the American Dermatological Society, all these different associations don't recommend that we get excess sun exposure.
Right.
But as we get older, our ability to produce vitamin D from sun exposure of our skin is not as effective as it was when we were younger. And the blood levels that we're talking about here, if you looked at, say, primitive cultures that still exist on our planet, that run around and basically are wearing very little clothes on their body, and they're in, say, tropical areas where they're fully exposed to the sun, the blood levels that we should aspire to in Western society are what they have. But we're not running around. Most of us live in climates where it's not, you can't do that year-round, which again affects, by the way, it affects our attitude, it affects our mood, it affects our emotional balance as we change vitamin D levels in winter. Because again, the highest concentration of vitamin D receptors in the brain are found in the highest functioning areas of the brain. But there's so much to talk about.
Okay.
I just want to read some of the research, because I think when you read it in black and white, I think people assume, because I'm talking about vitamin D and I have a vitamin D product, whether I had a vitamin D product or not, I would be saying the same things. I'd be making the same important call to attention. But this is from the American Journal of Medicine. Vitamin D deficiency is a pandemic with more than half of the world's population currently at risk. In Western society, it's 80 to 100% of the population.
My goodness.
And we're Western society.
Right.
Sort of the more modern you are, the more you're at risk for low vitamin D levels. Adequate vitamin D levels are necessary and advantageous for optimal health. This is not me saying that. These are out of a research study.
Right.
Vitamin D deficiency and insufficiency can be both corrected and prevented safely through supplementation. Harvard Health Publications, Harvard Medical School. Food is usually the best way to get vitamins. That's not so for vitamin D. I wish it was, but it's not. Supplements are the simplest, safest way to get vitamin D. Again, that's not for me. an independent source from the Journal of the American Medical Association now. Although vitamin deficiency is encountered infrequently in developed countries, some groups of patients are at higher risk for vitamin deficiency and suboptimal vitamin status. For example, elderly patients are particularly at risk for vitamin B12 and vitamin D deficiency. And if you just look at the general population in America, we're all at risk in terms of vitamin D. Archives of Internal Medicine. Vitamin D insufficiency is associated with suboptimal health. Current recommendations for vitamin D supplementation are inadequate to address the growing epidemic of vitamin D insufficiency. Current recommendations for decades, it was 400 IU. Oh. It's a joke. I have always had a minimum of 1,000 in my multivitamins for 35 years.
Wow.
If you've been taking my multivitamins, you've always gotten extra vitamin D.
Excellent.
From the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Over the course of 2 decades, vitamin D levels have dramatically decreased among Americans, a new study finds. Recent research has also linked insufficient vitamin D to poorer health overall. As I said, there is nothing you can do so affordably to make such a profound difference than to move through the rest of your life with healthy vitamin D levels. From the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, over 3 out of every 4 Americans now have vitamin D levels below what we believe is necessary for optimum health.
Wow.
Increases in vitamin D deficiency in the population may have reduced the overall health of the population. From Experimental Biology and Medicine, there's no sufficient naturally vitamin D-rich food around the world to correct the worldwide insufficiency either. I mean, even the way they state it, it's presumed there's a worldwide insufficiency.
Right.
And there's no food to correct it. Therefore, the options are direct supplementation with vitamin D3, what we're talking about here, or indirect supply by vitamin D3 enrichment of natural food. So either fortified foods, which I'm not as big a fan of fortified foods because then you don't know what you're getting or not getting.
Right.
And your food varies every day. What you know with my supplement, you know exactly what you're getting. From the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. So you understand where we choose our levels. We are in desperate need to have a marked increase in the adequate intake recommendation. That's not me saying that.
These are conservative
groups,
groups.
And hopefully that will be 1,000 to 2,000 IUs per day and raise the safe upper limit to at least 10,000 IUs a day. To give you an idea that you have nothing to worry about vitamin D toxicity and things like that because they want to raise the safe upper limit to at least 10,000 IU, which no one needs to supplement that higher than that. This is from Harvard School of Public Health. Very few foods naturally contain vitamin D. For most people, the best way to get the recommended daily intake is by taking a supplement. Look for supplements that contain vitamin D3 cholecalciferol. In 35 years, that's the only form we've used, rather than vitamin D2 from ergocalciferol, since vitamin D3 is 3 to 4 times more potent than vitamin D2. From the American Journal of Medicine, the American Academy of Dermatology recently released its position statement on vitamin D, recommending that an adequate amount of vitamin D should not be obtained from unprotected exposure to UV radiation and sunlight. And by the way, a little bit of sunscreen will knock out 90–95% of the synthesis of vitamin D. So most of us use sunscreen, and as I said before, as we get older, our ability to synthesize vitamin D from our skin suffers dramatically. The only reliable, as the science says, the only reliable means to get the vitamin D we know we need, and that's from the Department of Health and Human Services, from the Harvard Medical School, from all these different independent sources, is by simple, affordable supplementation.
And what's happening tonight is most of us are getting the large bundles, and most of us are going with the 2,500 IU. Remember, each capsule is going to have 1,250 or 2,500 IU. So you're making that choice, and Andrew is not doubling the price. You get the same price. So it's up to you. Do you want the 2,500 IU per capsule or 1,250? That's the choice you make. You're not paying any extra to get double the potency of the capsule. I think that is wonderful, right? Just that by itself. On top of that tonight, if you're going with the big bundles, you're literally getting calcium, magnesium for free. I mean, if you start breaking down this pricing, it's unbelievable the value that we're showing you. Remember, you can, of course, order the singles, 150, 300, 600, or 1,200. Those are the singles, and here is the regular pricing. here's your pricing tonight. So if you just want the vitamin D3, and you want to get the larger one, you're getting it for $89.90 tonight. You're saving $110. Now, if you want to get into the bundles, which a lot of us are doing, and the reason is because, for example, if you get the 600, right, you can get the 600 cap supply. We'll send you 500 capsules of the calcium magnesium intensive care for $99.90. Remember, the 600 capsules by itself is over $100. So you can't even buy normally 600 capsules for this price. So for less money, you're getting 600 capsules plus the calcium magnesium intensive care. You're saving $90. I mean, it's just such a great night to be buying these ingredients.
What's great, and it's a question I'm often asked, with the calcium magnesium intensive care, with the vitamin D, these are very, very stable. So just store them in a cabinet away from direct heat, away from direct light or things like that, sunlight. So as long as it's just in a nice temperature-controlled environment in your home in the 70s, it's going to be fine. Because remember, that 1,200 capsule supply, even if you take 2 capsules a day, that's going to last you almost 2 years. If you take 1 capsule a day, it's going to last you over 3 years. And that's wonderful. I'm happy that you won't have to take advantage of a Today Special, because you're getting such a wonderful Today Special today that you won't have to do so for a couple of years. The goal here is to make this as affordable as possible. This is so important. And to think for a little more, I mean, you rarely see nickels anymore. I mean, it's almost in some countries they've gotten rid of the equivalent of pennies and nickels and things like that. But to think that you're getting 2,500 IU of vitamin D3 daily for a little more than a nickel a day. That's a pretty amazing thing. And even in the smallest Try Me size, it's less than 20 cents a day. So it's incredibly, incredibly affordable way to get, as I said before, we all know how important vitamin C is, and vitamin E, and vitamin B12. They all can't hold a candle to the importance of vitamin D3. Vitamin D3 has just so many profound roles in our body. In fact, this is one that when I talk about this, you know, my friends are astounded. But we'll read these charts here, because this kind of, I was going to say it's kind of mind-blowing, but we're talking about the mind right now. This is from the Journal of Neurology, Neurosurgery, and Psychiatry. Wow. Obviously, they're going to be talking about our brain here. 2 recent clinic-based observational studies reported that low serum vitamin D levels were associated with poor cognition, test performance, and a retrospective study of older adults attending a memory assessment clinic found a positive correlation between vitamin D levels and scores, meaning better memory, better vitamin D levels, or better said, better vitamin D levels, better memory.
Amazing.
Journal of Neurology, Neurosurgery, and Psychiatry. In this population-based study of European men aged 40 years and older, we observed a significant independent association between a slower information processing speed and lower levels of vitamin D. Wow. So you can't escape the fact that as you get older, even when you're young, vitamin D is critical to brain function. From the Journal of Gerontology. Gerontology is the study of aging, medical study of aging. Metabolic pathways for vitamin D have been found in the hippocampus and the cerebellum, suggesting that vitamin D may be active in areas of the brain involved in planning, processing, and formation of new memories. Which is, as we get older, one of the things we struggle with.
My goodness.
We'll remember old stuff, but sometimes we struggle with forming new memories.
Right.
And again, vitamin D is a critical part of how. Oh, we found that circulating vitamin D.
This is new stuff.
Oh yeah, it's.
We didn't even talk. Did we talk about this last time?
I don't think so. There's always been an understanding that the highest functioning areas of the brain had the highest concentration of vitamin D receptors. There's been that understanding. But now the research, the science, the clinical studies are reporting the results of looking at vitamin D levels and looking at aging population. In fact, I just sent a letter, an email to my friend at Vitamin Angels, the founder, Howard, my friend, the founder of Vitamin Angels, who distributes our prenatal vitamins that we make all around the world, because what we're thinking of doing, what I'm thinking of doing, is finding, because there are a lot of older folks who don't have the access or the money enjoy the benefits of vitamin D, and it would make that kind of a profound difference. So we're looking at perhaps donating vitamin D to, there are programs like Meals on Wheels and things like that for seniors around the country, because vitamin D can make that profound a difference on the most fundamental functioning of our body. Throughout our life, as an athlete, if you're active, muscle function is dependent on vitamin D. Vitamin D is associated with a reduced risk of falling as we get older, not because of its impact, say, on the strength of bone, which obviously it does positively affect bone strength, but because of its impact on muscle strength, on our ability to contract our muscles and maintain our balance as we get older. But let's keep talking about the brain here for a moment. Okay. So in this study, they found that circulating vitamin D concentration was most strongly associated with measure of cognition in the areas of executive functioning. Those are complex cognitive tasks such as planning, problem solving, or sequencing, and attention processing speed. So it's really those youthful faculties of our brain that we want to retain as we get older. Taken together, these results suggest vitamin D supplements in deficient elderly patients may improve or maintain global cognitive function. We hypothesize that higher dietary intake of vitamin D could protect against cognitive decline. And that's an important statement. And again, unfortunately, dietary intake. There's no dietary sources of vitamin D. So we're talking about supplementation. Thankfully, supplementation is incredibly affordable. From the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, in the large population of women in the present study, higher vitamin D concentrations were associated with longer telomere length. Telomeres are perhaps the most interesting measure of aging or anti-aging. Although these associations do not prove causality, they do suggest that vitamin D may play an important role in the modulation of telomere length, which is related to aging and age-related changes. So not only is it important in terms of how our brain functions, but in terms of the overall aging, perhaps, of the entire organism, the entire body.
Okay, we are busy. We're so glad you're ordering this. Andrew was just scratching the surface. The information is so compelling. He was telling me some of the things back in the green room. I was just, my jaw dropping open. Makes me so happy I take this. It makes me so happy you take this. And if you're not taking it yet, you should be. If you're going to take one vitamin D3, unequivocally the single most important vitamin to supplement, period. So, and if you're going to take vitamin D, you want to be taking Andrew's vitamin D3. It is the absolute finest. You're deciding today the size of bottle you'd like to send us and the amount of potency in the capsule, 1250 or 2500. The price does not double if you want double the potency. Andrew kept the price the same. He just really wants to service your needs. So if you want the 2500, which Pat, our producer, told me the majority of you are choosing the 2500 per capsule potency, why not? Most of us want that extra potency, but if you don't need the extra potency, if you're getting lots of extra vitamin D and a lot of other supplements, etc., that's going to be your choice. That's up to you. Most of us are going with the 2500. I take 2 a day of the 2500, and that's what a lot of us do. But bottom line is, you decide the size you'd like. You can do the singles, or you can do the bundles. Remember, and I'll show you the pricing one more time, because the bundles is a great way to go if you're taking Andrew's Calcium Magnesium Intensive Care. A lot of us are taking this product anyway. Tonight, you're basically getting it for free. Because reminding you, like, let's look at the 1200 for a minute here. Remember, when you buy the 1200 bundle, you get 1200 capsules of the vitamin D3, and then you're getting this at no charge. 1,000 capsules of Calcium Magnesium Intensive Care, because let me just remind you, it's almost $340. Just 1,200 capsules of the vitamin D3, our HSN price, would be $199.90. For $50 less than what our regular price would be, you're getting 1,200 capsules plus the additional 1,000 capsules of the Calcium Magnesium Intensive Care, and then of course 600, same deal here. You're getting the 600 caps of the vitamin D3, 500 capsules of the Calcium Magnesium Intensive Care. Normally would be $189, reminding you that just the 600 capsules of the D3 would cost more than what you're getting for the whole bundle today, which is pretty great. Plus you get a cookbook, plus you have the flex pays, so it's literally under $1 a day to get it home, and you have a money back guarantee that goes all the way till January 31st. Yeah. There's just never been a better day to buy these products. And it literally, it's 6 cents in the large bundle. Yep. It's 6 cents approximately, I believe, a capsule. 6 cents a capsule. I think if you wanted to buy empty capsules at a health food store, you're
probably going to be paying close to 6 cents a capsule. So it really is incredibly affordable. You're getting the best vitamin D that money can buy. And I encourage you to read the reviews, because one of the things you see most frequently in the reviews is that folks have struggled with their vitamin D levels. Doctors tested it, they take a supplement from the store, doesn't change. They get our vitamin D level, our vitamin D supplement, and their levels change. And I'll read some of the reviews in a moment. I just love the science, so I'm just going to read some fun charts on the science that gives you a sense, because vitamin D isn't a drug, it's not a medicine, but as we all move through our lives with not just suboptimal, but we move through our lives with deficient and insufficient levels of vitamin D, clinically viewed as such, moving through your life like that is not a healthy thing. So the impact of having healthy vitamin D levels can be profound. And if we look, this is from the British Medical Journal, a growing body of evidence indicates that vitamin D may reduce the risk of a wide range of health issues, and just having it at normal levels. So it's really the health issues stem from having it at abnormal, suboptimal concentrations of vitamin D have also been implicated as a potential determinant of mortality because of its wide-ranging effects. There's almost no part of our body, no system in our body that escapes the impact of vitamin D. The positive association between vitamin D concentrations and longer telomere length, I spoke about that a while ago. It's a potential determinant of age-related disorders and overall longevity in our bodies, emphasizes the possible beneficial effects of vitamin D on healthy aging and associated outcomes. As primary causes of vitamin D deficiency include insufficient exposure to sunlight, that's Western society, poor diet, increased adiposity, increased overweight, because that traps our vitamin D, so even if we have it, we don't get to use it, and reduced synthesis or absorption. A poor vitamin D status might essentially reflect suboptimal lifestyle and socioeconomic circumstances. So it goes to the very core of what sort of determines our lifestyle attributes in terms of our health. Subgroup analyses among observational studies indicate that the inverse associations of circulating 25-hydroxyvitamin D concentration with all-cause mortality, and I'll explain this, were significantly stronger in the populations with a low prevalence of vitamin D supplement use. So in other words, in populations that didn't supplement vitamin D, when they looked at low levels of vitamin D as it related to high risks of mortality, they found an association there. So unfortunately, as I said before, in terms of our body, vitamin D kind of leaves no stone unturned in terms of all the systems it impacts and affects. So it's not surprising that moving through life, as we do in Western society, with suboptimal vitamin D levels, that it comes with consequences. Not surprising at all, and that's what the research has only continued to validate as we continue here. And I just love the quotes from these studies. This is of significant public health importance as the gradual decline in circulated 25-hydroxyvitamin D levels, that's concentrations, that's the form of vitamin D we measure in our body.
I see.
Reported globally is likely to continue owing to the increase in the proportion of older population. So as we get older, we can pretty much map it as we 30s, 40s, 50s, it keeps going down. Obesity and lack of adequate sun exposure combined with sunscreen use really undermines our vitamin D levels.
So is it safe then to say that if you're not supplementing vitamin D, you probably are vitamin D deficient?
I would almost guarantee, unless someone is spending substantial times outside with their skin exposed, if they're a lifeguard working year-round or something like that, I would say, and the research and science confirms this, that if you're not supplementing vitamin D at a level of at least a minimum of, say, 1,000 to 2,000 IU, more likely you should be at 3, 4, 5,000 IU. And if you also consider that most of us happen to be overweight, which then traps and lowers your circulated vitamin D levels. But the bottom line is, if you're not supplementing vitamin D, I would say that most Americans, most people in Western society and Europe, they're deficient or insufficient. And not a little bit, but a great deal. And that's just not me saying it, that's the science saying it.
That's why they call it a pandemic.
It's a pandemic. They use the word pandemic, epidemic, that in Western society, depending on the study you look at, if you take people who are supplementing out of the study, 80, 90, 100% of the people will be vitamin D deficient or insufficient. And by the way, the level that they deem appropriate is much lower than the level I deem appropriate. So when they say 80, 90, 100%, I'd probably look at those same numbers and say not 80%, I'd say absolutely 100%. So it's something that if you're not supplementing vitamin D, you should get your vitamin D level tested. And it's something, every year I test my vitamin D level once a year. It's that critical to know. I've said this for over 20 years. It's slowly being adopted. Again, as I said before, not meaning to sound kind of cynical, but if there was some really expensive drug that a pharmaceutical company could sell you to give you normal vitamin D levels, you could bet every doctor would be testing for vitamin D all the time. And I hate to sound cynical. Unfortunately, if you look at my product here today, you could correct your vitamin D level literally for about 5 or 6 cents a day. So there's really not a great economic interest in terms of folks getting involved in this, but there's a huge public health issue that you see the Department of Health and Human Services, you see all these clinical studies talking about this. So it's important, and it's so simple and inexpensive to correct.
There you go. We're going to hear more. We're going to learn more. We're excited you're calling. These are selling fast. We knew this was going to be a popular today's special because it only happens once a year, and we have not bundled it with the calcium magnesium since 2012. So it's been a while since you've even seen these two products offered like this together, but they're going faster than we had anticipated. I'm just going to tell you that. We are well ahead of our plan here. So I just want to encourage everybody, as long as you're up and watching tonight, Pat, our producer, tells me we're closing in on close to 1,000 brand new customers jumping in to order this. So you know what that tells us? A lot of you have been reading. I mean, all you have to do is listen to the news, listen to, you know, a health type show, read a magazine that has any kind of articles about health. You cannot ignore the fact that vitamin D is something that you have to be taking. And if you're not, you probably have been wanting to. Because once you start reading, when you share a little bit of the information, the benefits you get from vitamin D, it's hard to turn your back on it.
2 more charts I just want to share because it's just sort of interesting to read. And I think it puts it in a little bit of perspective. And what's interesting about vitamin D, as I said, sort of the way we are today, the current set stage, because most of us are vitamin D insufficient or vitamin D deficient, that's not a normal condition. A normal condition would be if we all had healthy vitamin D levels, because there's no dietary source of any significance in terms of vitamin D, and because the majority of us are now overweight or obese, that further lowers dramatically our vitamin D levels, that as a population, Western societies were vitamin D deficient or insufficient. But just from this study from the British Medical Journal, compared with other conventional risk factors of ill health, they're looking at the risk it poses to mortality, certain things that we might do. The estimated population attributable risk of death due to suboptimal vitamin D levels in our study seemed to be substantial. For example, in the U.S., we estimated the population attributable risk due to vitamin D deficiency to be about 13%. That might seem to mean nothing to you, but what really will put it into...
I think that seems high.
But wait, what gives it a little sense, the corresponding estimates in the United States for these other risks. So remember, vitamin D, they said, was about a 13% risk. The corresponding estimates in the U.S. were about 20% for smoking, about 11% for physical inactivity, and about 9% for alcohol consumption. And deficiency of vitamin D in our society, they estimate to be 13%.
So you mean to tell me the detriment of not having vitamin D is right along with being a smoker, not getting physical activity, or drinking alcohol?
I wouldn't put it in those terms, because when we look at smoking, we're looking at all sorts of the risks associated with smoking. But what, on a large statistical, sort of a population-based model, that they're looking at the health risks posed by certain behaviors, I think the takeaway simply is that moving through our lifetimes, as we now do in modern societies, in Western societies, moving through our lifetimes, deficient or insufficient in vitamin D is not a risk-free proposition. And it's a broad number of risks, whether it's going to be the increased risk of falling as we get older and the risk of fracture that might come from falling, whether it relates to detriment to our emotional balance or our mental functions as we get older. And when I say as we get older, I'm not talking about 70, 80, 90. I'm talking about 30, 40, 50. That vitamin D is critical to the functioning of all these systems when we're young, as much as when we're older. And the more we move through our lives with healthy vitamin D levels, the more we eliminate that one risk from our world. You know, smoking, alcohol consumption, hopefully we all make good decisions in that regard. But, and smoking's a pretty expensive habit. So if you stop smoking, you actually get to save a great deal of money. When it comes to vitamin D, you get to move within that healthy range so that you're no longer deficient and no longer insufficient, and you get to move there for literally pennies a day. So incredibly affordable to do.
Awesome. And I'm going to show you one more time. This is great. We're so glad you're watching tonight and you're ordering your vitamin D. If you've ever wanted to take Andrew's vitamin D, there truly has never been a better day. This is the biggest, best value we have ever seen on this product. Remember, we're offering it as just a single where you can just order the vitamin D. If you don't need calcium, magnesium, intensive care, you can order just the vitamin D in your choice of size. Reminding you that if you go for the 1200, for example, you're getting it for $89, you're saving $110. If you order just the single 600 by itself, you're saving $50 today. They're both on FlexPay, and I want to remind you, if you order the singles in the 600 or the 1200, you will be getting that cookbook. Oh, and incidentally, be sure to look for a 25% off coupon. I have that around here somewhere. Here's a little coupon, a holiday coupon that's going to be in the box as well, and this is going to save you another 25% off Andrew's products December 1st through December 31st. So that will also be in the box. So you have savings for future. You're getting a cookbook included, and that is for those of you choosing the 600, the 600 or the 1200. Now, the bundles also, you get the cookbook, of course, but the bundles is where it gets interesting because a lot of us take CalMag every day. I take this every single day. I love Andrew's calcium magnesium. I take mine before bed.
Won't upset your stomach, easy to swallow, so it's
great.
There's no calcium magnesium product like it in the world.
Yeah,
small, easy to swallow capsule.
1,000 capsules. You're not paying a single dime for this because remember, for $149, we're sending you 1,200 capsules of the vitamin D3 in your choice of the 1250 IU or the 2500 IU.
Either choice.
And then you get 1,000 capsules of the calcium magnesium intensive care. I just want to show you one more time so you remember the vitamin D3 alone you can't buy for $149. The vitamin D3 would be $208 to get 1,200 capsules. And then the calcium magnesium intensive care, that's about a $135 value just in that one product. And then, of course, you're getting the cookbook. You're getting free shipping, so you don't have to pay separate shipping on each of these items. So that's why we're excited here. For $149.90, you're saving $226.53. And with over 7,000 already spoken for, this is the perfect time to get going on your vitamin D3. Because if you're not supplementing it, there's a very good chance you're not getting an adequate amount of it, period. I mean, a lot of us, we are not, you know.
Very good chance, I'd say, because it's not
you're a sun worshiper.
It's not readily available from our diet unless you're a sun worshiper. And the interesting thing, as you worship the sun more and more, you tend to get more tan, and the more tan you become, the more your body is successfully blocking out the impact of UV radiation, which means you're going to synthesize less vitamin D. So in all likelihood, and again, you could we'll have some more charts that we'll talk about, but they wouldn't be talking about vitamin D insufficiency or deficiency being an epidemic or a pandemic. Depending on the studies you look at, if you look at populations that are not supplementing, virtually everyone is vitamin D insufficient or deficient. So it's something, the most important thing to do is to know your vitamin D level and then to establish the proper regimen of supplementation so you give yourself the level of vitamin D that you want in your blood test. As I said before, the number I seek is between 60 and 80. Either side of 70 is the best number. Some doctors might recommend more like 50, but in looking at all the research, I tend to err on the side of physicians who are recommending recommending 60, 70, between 60 and 80, as I said. And again, this is not something that comes with health consequences. Just talk to your doctor and establish what works for you. What I just wanted to emphasize here, that unfortunately, and I showed a number of quotes earlier out of the clinical studies and research that said there's no natural vitamin D rich source of food in our diet. Unless you're going to be eating cod liver oil, and unfortunately I believe cod liver oil has high levels of vitamin A, which we don't want preformed vitamin A. But the lowest calorie way to get the vitamin D from a single capsule would be to consume at least 6 teaspoons of cod liver oil every day. That's almost 300 calories of cod liver oil. Salmon, you'd have to consume 1.5 pounds of salmon every day, or 1.25 pounds of sardines every day. And again, that's over 1,000 calories. That would be 2/3 or 3/4 of our daily caloric intake. You'd have to consume over 2 pounds of tuna. You might have to be concerned about some of the other things that happen when you consume 2 pounds of tuna every day. So again, there's no practical source. Yogurt, 14 cups, whole milk, 25 cups, mushrooms, 750 cups of mushrooms. So these are the best sources. Queso fresco, 19 cups. Eggs, 125 large eggs. And eggs are considered a good source of vitamin D.
Oh my
You can actually read about that online. And
so we do get a little bit in our diet, but just not even close to what we need.
A little bit. So 1 egg would be less than 1% of that. So in other words, in 1 egg, you'd be getting about 20 IU.
Got it.
So in other words, even if you eat the best diet possible in terms of vitamin D foods, you're probably going to be lucky to get 500 IU a day. And that's why we're all observed in the clinical studies to be deficient or insufficient. That's why the numbers are what they are. But I skipped ahead. I grabbed this chart. I talked about some of the clinical science on the neurological effects, the effects on our brain. But vitamin D plays an essential function and role in the brain. And as such, it also helps to support and promote balanced mood and positive outlook. Healthy vitamin D levels have been associated with more positive mood and outlook. Lower levels of vitamin D have been associated with less positive mood and outlook. And it's something that we read. If you look at the reviews on this product, you'll even see that mentioned in the reviews.
Oh, nice.
But just here, this first chart, vitamin D is recognized as the most important single vitamin to supplement, and to do so at far higher levels than previously recommended. If you're taking a leading multivitamin, I'd say you're not getting enough vitamin D. You need to add separate vitamin D to it. All my multivitamins deliver at least 1,500. I typically like people to get around 4,000. So you take that 1,500, you add the 2,500, you're at 4. Even if you took that 1,500 and added the 1,250, you're at 2,750. You're getting into sort of that sweet spot of vitamin D level. And again, get your blood level tested. And this is a dialogue to have with your doctor. Vitamin D3 is uniquely the most important, and what makes it unique is not just that it's the most important, but it's also the most affordable. We provide vitamin D3 as cholecalciferol, the most beneficial form, and vitamin D3 is critical to more than healthy bones. But as we age, it is essential for a healthy brain, balanced mood, strong muscles. Again, if you're an athlete, you want healthy vitamin D levels, and to think most of us don't have healthy vitamin D levels, you'd be, as an athlete, you do all these different things to be healthy or fit, to do your workouts at the gym, and to think that our vitamin D levels might be undermining or compromising our ability to get the best out of those workouts. There is no doubt there are dozens and dozens and dozens of studies that talk about vitamin D level and the risk of falling as we get older. And the reason why is because vitamin D is necessary for muscle contraction. And if we're all moving through our lives with suboptimal, with deficient or insufficient levels of vitamin D, our muscles can't contract adequately, and standing up and moving around is all about our ability to contract our muscles. And as we get older, that is a critical thing, and that's one of the reasons why my nonprofit, we're going to look to those, say, older Americans that might struggle to be able to get the vitamin D access that we all have here, to do so affordably, to see if we can get those folks the vitamin D they need.
You know, if you can take a minute to go to hsn.com, there are over 900 reviews on Andrew's vitamin D. The average out of a perfect 5, the average is 4.8. So virtually, I mean, we have, out of the 930 reviews, 815 of those are perfect 5-star ratings. So if you have a minute, it's always fun to read the feedback from other customers who are already taking this product, using it, seeing the benefits. I mean, you will see the benefits. When you have your blood test done, you will see a difference in those vitamin D levels. And just the fact that it's so economical, it's so incredibly affordable. It's not only one of the most important things to supplement, it is one of the most affordable supplements you can take. So, I mean, it's pennies, literally 6 cents, pennies a day. So if you are deciding on what you like here, all the choices are available to you. You can do a flex pay on the larger bundles. You can do just the singles. You can do whether you decide the IU amount. If you want 1250 IU per capsule, 2500 IU per capsule. Most of you are choosing the 2500 IU. I certainly can understand why, because you're getting double the amount for the same price. And a lot of you are also choosing these larger bundles. So the larger choices are the most popular today. We're so glad you're watching tonight and you're up with us.
I read some reviews quickly?
Yes, definitely.
I just grabbed some from the top of the stack.
I was mentioning, because there's 930 reviews, 815 are perfect 5. It's pretty great.
No, that's, again...
Average is 4.8.
What is that? Over 90% of the reviews are perfect 5-star reviews.
Almost 95%, 94%.
Wow. No, it's amazing. So, and it's a simple, straightforward product. It's a tiny capsule. So you get what you want from a tiny capsule that anyone could swallow. So it's a very small capsule, gentle even to the most sensitive stomach. There is nothing in here that's going to be upsetting or difficult. It's just an ultrafine powder. I opened one before. I'll open one again.
They're little, aren't they? They're really
super
easy
tight.
to swallow.
We made them even smaller. We succeeded in making it even smaller. So that's the 2500 I'm showing you. So again, ultrafine powder. So it goes to work instantly, dissolves instantly. I just was going to read some reviews. I should have read some previously, but I got carried away with the science, as I often do. It's my nature.
I'm always so humored at Andrew when he's doing his eyebrows like perk up, his eyes start to twinkle a little more. I've never seen anybody who loves science as much as you do. See, if you would have been in my science class and I could have sat next to you, I probably would have paid a lot more attention, because my eyes were glazing over when they were dissecting the frogs. Did you love science class? Were you like a science?
Oh, I've always loved science. I probably read, I don't know, at least several hundred research abstracts every single week, probably more than that, and a lot of study. I mean, it's just, I find it enjoyable. I love the more we learn about how the human body works, not just sort of on a global level, but it's amazing how we understand how all of the different cells in our body, how they all function, the organelles within those cells, the intricate dance that goes on in terms of the endocrine system and things. It's amazing. It's exciting.
It would have been impossible for me to be sitting next to you in science class.
Probably.
I was only in, kindergarten.
Yeah. So every time. So I am only like 2 or 3 years older than you.
No. Really? Oh, I thought you were a lot older than me than that. You're only 2 or 3 years older than me?
It's a good thing it's like 1 o'clock in the morning here.
Okay.
But I actually thought you were older than me, but I won't say that.
Oh!
See?
Oh,
who can play that game?
In the heart. All right, never mind.
But we're both over 5-0, correct?
Speak for yourself.
You're not?
No, I'm just teasing. Yes, I am.
But we're not over the next one.
No.
Oh, good.
Not even close.
No.
I'm not even over the 55 mark. Are you?
Maybe. Let's talk about this chart here. We have some really great reviews to talk about.